So each and every day, I post these quotes, and today it says, create a classroom that feels like home. And I think right now in this crazy, bizarre Pinterest culture that we live in, creating a classroom that feels like home is so important, rather than creating a classroom that looks like home, because not every classroom that looks like a home really feels like a home. Man, I visit a lot of schools. I'm in thousands of classrooms, and I could walk in and it's some beautiful classroom. They have a color theme going on, this muted sea blue, and they have matching wicker baskets for everything. And I'm thinking, are we allowed to get messy in here? Is it okay if I sit on your flexible seating fancy beanbag over there? It doesn't even feel like a place where a kid can be a kid. So it's not necessarily a classroom that looks like, it's when it feels like home. When you walk in the classroom door, you can feel it. There's a teacher at the door greeting kids, the handshake, high five, the hug, welcoming kids home. Welcome home, just like you would when you're greeting your own kids coming home for the holidays on Christmas Day to sit down for Christmas dinner. That same feeling for every kid each and every day as they enter their classroom, which is their home. And you know what? Somebody shared that quote, and they wrote, They followed it up with, create a classroom that feels like home, because for lots of kids, this is their only home. And how true is that? And probably the best evidence I've ever seen was this last school I taught at. It was a high school. We had some real challenging personalities in that school, really challenging kids. I mean, we're talking, these kids were just born and are being raised in deep, desperation style poverty. I'm talking 17, 18-year-old freshmen. I mean, kids that have been in jail and they have come back and now they're in school. And so throughout the day, these kids hate school and they're disruptive. But you know what? The school bell rings to go home at 3:30. You can walk through the cafeteria at 4:30, 4:45, 5 o'clock. And you know who's sitting in that cafeteria? Those same kids. They could be anywhere. It's an hour and a half after the bell rang. They're not at their house. They're not at their apartment. They're not at their trailer, wherever where they are. They're in the cafeteria, in their school, because it feels like home. The only thing I would challenge that statement for lots of kids, this is their only home. The only thing I would challenge that is with this. I would challenge you to think, for every kid, this is their only home. To set it up in your mind like that. Because I think sometimes we get caught up in seeing the perception of a kid's home. They have a big fancy house, and two parents with fancy jobs, and both parents have fancy cars. They got a fancy picket fence with a fancy designer Labradoodle dog running back and forth. Yeah, it's fancy, but it's not really home. It's a fancy house, but that's not a home. At the same time, I've been inside of student homes where it is the most dilapidated, just run down shack, like a shanty of a structure. But inside of that, it is the most beautiful family with two loving parents that are amazing, where kids are loved each and every day. A beautiful home inside of that shack. So you just never know. And because you never know, and you can't pick and choose which kid needs a home, which kid doesn't, you have to set it up in your mind so it's all of them. Every single kid that walks through the door, welcome home. And in our mind, we set it up that for my kids, in my classroom, all of these kids, this is 100% for all of them, the only home they have. That way, I don't miss a kid. Have an amazing day.